Dear friends, it's an honor to be here today, and I would like to thank Banu Didi and the team of IWC for giving me this opportunity to present this topic to you. Many of you have come from outside India and have been here for the last few days. As you've been going around, you would have come across another name for India, Bharat. How many of you have heard this name? Anybody? Bharat? Do you know what it means? Did this question ever occur to you? Why does this land have two names? Why is it called India and Bharat, and what is the meaning? The word Bharat is a Sanskrit word, and if you look at the word, how it has been formed, the word Bha means knowledge, enlightenment that comes with knowledge, the glow. And the word Rat stands for to relish. So Bharat is to relish knowledge. So it is a land, and it is a name given to a land where people relish knowledge. So that is the meaning for the name of the land. How did it become India? That's another story, but in short, basically it was a name given to India by Persians who could call Sindhu as Hind, and from there it became Inda and then India. The other interesting explanation for the word Bharat is also the word Bhartiyo. Bhartiyo means metallurgy. So this was also a land where metallurgy was flourishing widely all over the land. And today, even today in Hindi language and many parts of North India, the word for steel vessels is called Bhartan. So that's another root for the name of the land. And therefore, this land, if you see, has been a land of technology and knowledge. And it's been an ancient land. We have ancient records in Indian form, which go to show that the history of this land can be traced to 7,000 to 8,000 years and more. It's a continuously living civilization that has survived over 8,000 years continuously with a lot of this knowledge and technology available today in the form of ancient texts. So what better an example from which we can borrow some knowledge? Could there be some ancient wisdom in this land that we can take for going forward is what we're going to be seeing in the next few minutes. One of the examples I would like to say is when we say metallurgy, what are the proofs we have? Thousands of years ago, when many of the ancient texts of various other lands didn't speak of zinc, Indian texts talk about zinc extraction. Now, zinc extraction, what is so special about zinc? Now, this particular metal was very challenging to extract. The ore was such that it would vaporize. When you heat it, it vaporizes at particular temperature, and very quickly it would again condense. So when you have to take the metal, you have to condense the vapors to get the metal. And people were finding it a big challenge because it would vanish into thin air even before you could condense it. And the ingenious population then, they came out with their technique wherein they called it downward distillation. So instead of heating from the bottom and allowing the vapors to go on top, they would heat it on the top and allow the vapors to naturally go to the bottom where they would collect the material. So thus, zinc was something that was, the extraction of zinc was thus discovered, and from there are stories of how it traveled all over the world. So this shows that there was metallurgy flourishing. Now, does it mean that a land, and of course, if you look at the ancient text of the Veda, they trace technology. Veda are not just religious texts as is normally perceived to be. They carry a lot of science and technology in it. And these texts, they trace the milestones of technology like fire, the wheel, which are the key things which were path-breaking moments in technology. And they give names to the clans that actually brought these technology to human civilization. You have the name, Atharvan for fire, Brigu for the wheel. And interestingly, just a couple of months ago, we were on our travel to Turkey, Azerbaijan, and those regions of the world. And we saw a lot of connection between the Brigus and the Frisians. And we are coming up with that in our next book. So there were all these technologies existing. Now when you say all these technologies were existing, is this what the land was only doing? What was the importance of these technologies? Is it enough? Today we all had breakfast. What did we eat for breakfast? Anybody awake? You're already thinking of lunch. Did we eat this for breakfast? We had food. So just because a land was specializing in metallurgy, was called Bharat because of Bhartiyo, the technique of metallurgy, didn't mean that this civilization had ignored the core aspect that needs to take a civilization forward, and which is agriculture. So along with all this knowledge and technology, agriculture was also one of the areas which was given thrust in those days. And we will see a beautiful example now going forward. So today, when we are standing at the threshold, we are in the 21st century, and conferences like this, we are now wondering, what is technology? Are we on the right path? And what is it that we can learn from the past? One of the answers would be, it is an ethos. No technology is good or bad. It all lies in how we are going to put that technology to use. What is the ethos that is driving the use of the technology? And the main ethos that drove our ancestors of the past was technology of fertility. Now we are all women here, and fertility to our mind will immediately bring up images of IVF and various other such techniques. But let's see what technology of fertility meant to our ancients. Next slide. Another one. We are in the region of South India, and this particular region is actually on the slope of the western ranges, western Ghats as we call it, the western range of India. And the land slopes naturally from the mountains towards the sea, the Bay of Bengal. Now the ancients understood the topology of this. We have Vastu experts here who are going to talk to you about that. How to use topology. Vastu is all about understanding land and topology and using it. So they understood the topology. They understood that there was a natural gradient in the land. And on this gradient, therefore, they built a series of chain tanks. Tanks that were chained together. Number of individual village tanks, tanks meaning ponds or lakes, and these were connected from one to another, all the way from the mountain top to the sea, the Bay of Bengal. Why would they do so? And this was done, mind you, over 500 years, across generations, and this was done more than 1,000 years ago. It was such a massive design. Today we talk about various project designs and we are not able to complete it, but look at this massive grandness of the design. Why did they do this? The way they connected is, if you look at any one particular tank, they used to have stone pillars on the bank of the water tank. And they would, just before monsoon, they would plug this set of stone pillars pack it with mud. And when it rained, they would allow the rain to gather in the lake. Now we all know when there is sufficient water, the water percolates down into the ground, and all the wells in the village, they would then start getting their waters. The water percolated, and that gave the village their waters, groundwater. And this, once it had accumulated and percolated enough, they would break this mud pack and allow the water to go and flow into the next village. They would do the same, gather it, percolate, take it forward, and thus it would go down all the way to the sea. So even if it rained in the hills, mind you, this region is in the rain shadow region, so even if it rained in one place, this water went and reached the entire region. So somebody down near the sea didn't have to worry that it didn't rain in his region. He would always get his water. It was an ethos of taking what you need. Can you go forward, please? It was an ethos of taking what you need and not for your greed. And today, if we were to replicate this design, mind you, you would need a number of experts. You would need hydraulics engineers, you would need mechanical engineers, civil engineers, and all kinds of experts. What is missing today is the integrating view. The integrating view which integrates technology and connects it with nature, with ecology, with environment, and the inner connect of ethos, the human touch, the quality, the character of a human being. So that is what is missing today, which is what we have to learn from our ancients. Can you go forward, please? The lengths of the tank were so much that you could put a girdle around the earth. If you just take all the circumferences and measure them together, it could go all around the earth. That was the number of tanks that they had built. Forward. Forward, please. This is a satellite view which shows the number of lakes. Forward. So it was an ethos of sustainability. It was an ethos of sustaining fertility for the land. So much as the civilization developed metallurgy and other things, they also focused on agriculture and ensured that the land had fertility. And mind you, they had entrusted this fertility, next slide, into the hands of women. Now we are going to talk about time, astrology, the connection, and what can we learn from that. See, many of you, even today I heard about people in France planting seeds going by the phase of the moon. The ancient civilizations really connected a lot with the moon. Look at the moon and the fertility cycle of women too, the 28-day cycle of the moon and that of the women. There is a lot of connection between human and moon. And why did people sow their seeds going by the phase of the moon? We all know that you need water. Now when you plant, and you know how moon influences water levels on earth. We have the tides. But that's something that you can see. You don't see what it does to the waters in your body. Your body is 70% water. The whole earth is 70% water. There is groundwater. Now when you sow seeds at a particular phase of the moon, with the moon going through its growing and waxing and waning phases, it brings the groundwater up for the seeds, and the seeds get their nourishment. So these are small things which are not documented. And these are things that we have to learn from our tradition. We started with Guruji telling us about superstitions. We have to be able to discern what is superstition, what is the science in certain tradition. The symbol of art of living, actually, if you see, there are two swans. Now, a swan, there is a mythical bird in India which is called the Hamsa. The Hamsa bird has a very, very unique trait of being able to separate milk from water. So if there is a homogeneous mix of milk and water, it could separate the milk from the water. So that should be the trait that we should be able to cultivate. Take the knowledge from the past, understand the science behind it, put it to use today. And these are, can you go to the last slide, please? The ancient civilization had the concept of continuous debates. So they would continuously engage in debates, tarka as it was called. And these help them to keep redefining the knowledge, because technology has to be contextual for the needs of your times. So knowledge is universal. How do you harness that knowledge and apply it for the times and the need of your times is what becomes technology for the time. And they kept having continuous debates to keep redefining these. And conferences such as these, which are really going not just what makes up technology, but how we have to really harness and apply technology, are what will take us forward. And messages like shedding the superstition, going for the science behind it, understanding, so increasing your awareness. With your awareness then comes questioning, which is the next logical step. And this questioning can only then lead to liberation of your mind. And when your mind is liberated, there is no end to the amount of innovation and sustainability that you can bring to the land. Thank you.